Welcome to another episode of the What It Takes podcast. My name is Tully Krause, CEO of Blackbird Recruiting. Today we are with Laibel Schwartz, CEO of Laibel. It's a tongue twister. Laibel, you started off doing bar mitzvahs, then weddings. I had the, what's the English word for zechus?
The merit.
The merit to have a wedding shot by you. And not recently, then you sort of got into corporate headshots.
Sure.
Now you're doing video productions. You're in so many industries. You got healthcare, you got hospitality, real estate.
Right.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. Let's get into it.
It's interesting. Recently, people have been asking, it's a challenging time for everyone. And, it's interesting. We're in, as you probably see more industries than I do. And it's really interesting because I'm sure you see it probably. It's actually not many people see it more than I do, but you probably see some guys are rocking and some guys are really hurting. And it flows.
It really does.
Now it's interesting, but you don't know how people are doing. So when people meet you in the middle of, you're in Lakewood, you're in Brooklyn, what's going on? So you used to be like, yeah, thank God, rocking and rolling, but then you don't know what the other person's going through.
Right.
So I've recently been saying, thankfully, we're going through all the same blessings and challenges that are normal for these times. And then depending on how they react, yeah, man, it's tough. And then you go to them, you relate to them in the tough side. If they're like, yeah, thank God things are rocking, and you go to with them with the rocking side. But you have to, in today's world, you have to be more sensitive than just saying oh, thank God, rocking and rolling, because you don't know where the other person's at.
Okay, today's podcast is over. That's a very good point. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Be sensitive to other people. I wouldn't say it's flowing. I think it's a cycle.
Yeah.
I'll see certain industries.
Yes.
You have same industry. Certain companies are hurting. Certain companies are doing really well. So I think it's a cycle. Like a Ferris wheel. People do well. Others, it's all in a shemayim from God.
And again, let's talk for a second about clients that we both know. I've noticed the most interesting thing. Who is the first people to get hit by this economy thing? Big company, rocking and rolling, big industry, rocking and rolling. All of a sudden,
boom,
everything shut down.
What are the first companies?
So for me, it was my mortgage companies.
Right.
I'm in capital, right? In capital, rock and rolling. All of a sudden, interest rates, the world changed. Boom. Goes from top industry everyone's after to crickets, right? Then, but everyone's like, oh, listen, that happened in the mortgage industry, but real estate's still great,
right.
Thank God, right?
Construction,
right? Real estate is still great, right? All of a sudden, real estate starts taking a hit.
Construction or real estate first?
Wait.
Which one?
So real estate gets hit.
First.
Yeah. So wait.
Why?
Listen, real estate start getting hit. I believe. I could be wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong. This is what I saw. Real estate start getting hit, right?
Because they need to refinance.
So then it hits them. So now everyone's looking like, okay, well, mortgages are down the tube and real estate's doing bad. But you know what? Constructions, we still got buildings we're building.
Right.
All of a sudden, since the money dried out, construction starts to get hit. So now we've got mortgages down, we've got real estate down, we've got construction down, but business, B2B stuff, all good. All of a sudden, that starts to get hard.
Yeah.
But guess who's still fine? Nonprofits. Nonprofits were helping people. All of a sudden, nonprofits. But the crazy part was, guess who's doing well again?
Mortgages.
Min Capital has, I think, 3 or 4 profitable quarters in a row. All of a sudden, mortgages doing great. Thank God, rock and rolling again. Now, you start seeing real estate start to happen again. And that is the flow of what's going on. And only if you're
consider it a flow or a Ferris wheel.
That's what I mean. That's that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, but you need to be in the business for long enough to be able to see the whole process and be like, okay, it's not mortgages, and okay, it's not construction, okay, it's not, real estate, okay, it's not nonprofits. This is called the program, right? And then when you're hurting, it's okay. Welcome to life.
100%. Do you think there's something these companies could do if this were to happen again to prepare better?
So again, that's past my pay grade. That I think you should talk to Wanunu about. Meaning I'm just kind of watching it from the sideline.
For the people that are watching and have no clue who David is, David Wanunu. Who is he? You want to introduce him?
David?
He was our first guest. First podcast published.
David is the I believe is the brainchild to many of us. Meaning many businesses out there, Blackbird, Laibel, Everyone Needs a Video, and many others that have basically David's been that guiding force, seeing talent in people, inspiring, encouraging them to be successful. And then how many years later? You just had an anniversary, if I remember correctly? 4 years later, all of a sudden Blackbird is making a podcast with Laibel, right?
Full
and
circle.
Who's smiling in the background? David Wanunu.
100%. Yeah. Pretty wild stuff. Okay, let's get into the podcast. You started off as a regular photographer. You had a photography business. You were doing bar mitzvahs. You were doing weddings. Was there a turning point that made you think, okay, let's get into corporate. Let's start doing headshots and slowly move away from the bar mitzvahs. When did that happen? And what were you thinking about, like, to do corporate work? You need to scale up a team. When you're filming a wedding, you hire freelancers to do bar mitzvahs. You're there yourself. Did you ever think, like, what would it take to scale up a business? What was that turning point for you? Like, hey, switching over to corporate, less bar mitzvahs, and then eventually no bar mitzvahs or weddings?
It's a very good question. So really, it was a bit of a progression. So you have to remember, my wife and I were a wedding team for years. Right? So I started off doing events on my own. Then we got married. My wife is an interior designer from Parsons. So she had that whole world. But I knew that
Interior
if I was...
design.
Yeah. I knew that if I was going to be in Koil and she was going to go buy $40,000 couches for her clients and then come back to our $40 Craigslist couch, there was going to be a little bit of cognitive dissonance, meaning it's not going to feel right. So I had to figure out a way that we could work together, build a team together, and still feel comfortable. So I said, you know what? Why don't we do photography? So my wife said, are you crazy? I just went to the best design school in the world. Like, I know what I'm doing. You do your thing, I'll do mine. But slowly but surely, she came along and she built this wedding business together. I was in Koil full time, and I would make sales calls, Bena Sadarim, and things like this. And she ran the entire business, and we shot together.
Why photography?
So I was in university and I wanted to find some profession that I can shoot at night and learn all day and afternoon and still make a living. So I figured if I could shoot bar mitzvahs at night, or even weddings if I got big, I'd be able to stay in learning for as long as possible.
It's exhausting.
Everything's exhausting.
No,
Recruiting's exhausting.
Yeah, but it's a 9 to 5 of sorts.
No, it's
Here
not.
you're learning 9
No,
to
it's
5,
not.
and then you're going to...
Okay, and you're learning from 5 to 9, and then you're going to do recruiting. It's
That
the
is
same
very
exact
true.
situation.
That is very true. But in the morning, you need to get your kids up for school. You need to go daven. But you're working till 11 to 12 o'clock at night.
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst thing in the
That's
world.
what I was referring to. Like people who sing at weddings or play at weddings.
That God should bless them with literally ultimate shefa. I don't know. They have the schus of being Masamech the Chassan Kal. I have no idea. I physically couldn't do it. In fact, I never did mitzvah dances for that reason. Anytime I ever shot a mitzvah dance, I would get sick. Not from being up too late, from the stress of just thinking that I had to get up early.
The photographer who shot with you my wedding.
That's right. I said, I'm not doing it. I said, Tully, I'm not doing it. Remember?
He finished, I think, 3:30 or close to 4
Oh, the
o'clock.
Lord should bless him. Oh, Lord.
I felt so bad.
No, but the great images.
Beautiful photos.
Yeah,
oh
thank
my
God.
gosh.
Yeah, so
That's
anyways,
why you picked photography.
well, I take photography so I could be in learning. I stayed in
Before you
photography.
got married or after?
Yeah.
Before you got married.
Yeah.
Love it. Wow.
Yeah. So then, and then we did it together. But it wasn't fun when she, after about 8.5 years in Cuddles, she said she wanted to be with the kids. I said, that's cool. So I said, I'll run it from here. So my friends, people would make a joke like, oh, she couldn't hack it. I said, I couldn't hack it. I said, she took on a new CEO and she took on a new venture. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. She still owns 51% of the company, draws the largest salary. She's good. So, but when she said she wanted to, then I tried doing it alone. It wasn't fun anymore. Meaning, you have to remember, we built this company together. It was meant as a team building unit. So I would talk to our Chassan Kala and say, hey, just like you guys are having fun hanging out, we're having fun hanging out. And like, it was always fun. And then all of a sudden I'd be sitting with a cousin Kala and I'd be by myself and I'd be like, oh, just like you guys are. Oh, wait, no, I'm by myself now. Like,
Was it ever challenging working with your wife? And I'll elaborate on that question. There's a term in Yiddish. Mit mishpucha es mit kugel.
right.
To translate, for those watching and don't speak Yiddish, with family, you only eat kugel. You don't really work together because there's so much to lose. If it doesn't work out, and then you're coming home, you're seeing each other 6 o'clock.
The other day,
And you had a bad day at work.
No, I'll tell you a crazy thing. Just the other day, it worked out perfectly when it did, and I'll tell you when it couldn't work anywhere. But the funny part is just the other day, one of our bar mitzvah clients called from 9 years ago. And apparently, I remember what happened. It was hard to get a hold of them. They didn't do their album. They were busy. Now she wants her album 9 years later. Now we happen to still have the same team members from back then. We just transitioned them to new roles.
Pause.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to make a new album for you.
Do you realize what you just said?
What?
Laibel is such a good employer. I know people on his team. They're with him 9 years later. For someone who does recruiting and interviews people all day, looking to switch jobs, that is something you should be very, very proud of. You're laughing. I am not kidding.
We're blessed. We're very blessed.
You're blessed. They are blessed to have you as a boss.
Okay, I'm blessed to have them. So anyway, so the point being and like my wife's telling me, like, as we're getting ready to, like, go upstairs, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm done with work now. I have enough stuff on my head. I'm so glad we don't have this anymore. So when it stopped working? It stopped working when we actually needed the money. I was in Koilel. Our first bunch of years, we made $32,000 a year, $38,000 a year, 40s. Would have 6.
How many nights a week were you working on average?
I don't know. We generally probably shoot about 8 times a month.
So 2 times a week.
Ish. But there's but there's also a lot of stuff going on otherwise. There's editing this, right? But as soon as it got to a point where we actually needed the money to live.
When did that happen?
8.5 years in.
Family-wise. Hashem.
Yeah, thank God.
A few kids.
Yeah. Wow. At that point, and I would say, well, did you do the thing? Whatever the thing, did you do, send the client, whatever? Remember those little accordion books my wife used to make?
The day after I got married, your wife shows up to my door, my apartment in Muncie, or 2 days after I got married.
2 days, yeah.
With a thing of biscotti, freshly baked biscotti or cookies or something wrapped up, scones, with a nice little bow and an accordion of our wedding photo.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Right. That's exactly right.
That is such a wholesome moment.
Yeah.
It took 4 years or 3 years to get our wedding album.
That was your fault.
All my fault. All my fault. And I would say 95% of the time, it is the Chassan Kala's fault.
Yeah. No, but again, we would push it. But anyway, the point being...
She showed up with an accordion 2 days later.
But then I would say, let's say, for example, the accordion wouldn't be made. You didn't make she's like, what are you talking about? You know what I had to do at home? The kids, what? I said that, but we still need to get paid. So at that point I said, no, that was the break. As soon as we needed the money, it didn't work anymore.
Leading up till then, were there times where, I don't know, a kid woke up late or someone wasn't feeling well? Were there ever times where it wasn't easy? Or was it always most of the time just
fun? No, again, it's just like any other life. Meaning you've woken up with kids not feeling well. You still get on with life.
What advice would you give to somebody working with their spouse or a sibling or parent?
It's not, again, I think the majority of people can't do it. The only reason it works is if I don't know. I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend it? Would you do it again with your wife?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of hiring babysitters?
I wouldn't do it now. But I would, let's say as soon as the kids are out, I'm sure we'll do something. Because she's the most talented person in the world. And then I have the ability to connect to people. So if you put the two together, it's a lot of fun. And it's cool to watch her do her thing. There's no one in the world that does what things that she does. I'm in this spot like you can't imagine. Just watching her is fun. Watching her do, Avram Cohen said once,
Avram Cohen is your
video editor. But the most talented, I just said about 2 different people, but the most talented video editor that ever existed.
Is Avram.
He once said, I saw a video of your wife shooting a wedding or a portrait or something. He said it was like watching a MoMA museum. Not the picture at the end, the MoMA, the Museum of Modern, it was like watching a museum piece. Not the thing that she made was a museum piece. Watching her direct, Lena Hama was like, no, she's not that way at all. Because we did the Europe, right? Calm, slight this way, slightly down, whatever's going on. And then all of a sudden you have this thing where you're like, what the heck? Well, how'd you do that? No one in the world like it. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, we'd work together for sure. Not if we needed the money. but we do work together every day, just on different projects.
I love, I love that. I love it. Let me ask, what was the hardest shift moving from working with clients, doing wedding photography and videography and bar mitzvahs to corporate? What was the hardest shift?
It was the best thing in the world.
What was the hardest shift for you? Mentality or?
The best. No hard shifts. Easiest thing in the world. You know why? Because I think you'll understand this. When you're doing weddings or events or portraits, inherently, as much as they need what you have, you're taking money out of their pocket.
Okay.
When I'm working with companies, I'm putting money in their pocket. Right? It's a whole different. So therefore, it's the best.
Right.
It's the best. There's no mother-in-laws. Right? There's no late nights.
We're gonna do that as a short.
Yeah, there's no mother-in-laws in the corporate world. Although sometimes there is times that there's like you know better than anyone. There's like family politics in business sometimes, but there's generally no mother-in-laws. And the other thing I love about it is that we generally work with our owners or CEOs, so the vision is all there. It's not like you know what I mean? Like you're working with one person creating a solution for them, as opposed to like.
Top down.
Yeah.
You decided to do corporate when you needed the money?
I decided corporate when my wife wasn't. I decided to not work with my wife when we needed the money. I decided to do corporate when I didn't want to do weddings anymore. But I didn't just run out of it. David wouldn't let me. We had an active business in weddings. And I found out about these headshot things. We made a bunch of it. That's a whole conversation otherwise. How that happened.
Is that something you would talk about?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But the point being that I was so gung-ho about headshots, I went to David. I said, David, he never thought headshots would work in the first place. Never. So anyway, but I said, David, I'm making money with the headshots. Forget the weddings.
How? What was your first client? Like, how did that work? Someone called you, or you
No.
after?
No. Very much the other way. We're sponsored by Profoto. Profoto is like the world's best lighting company. Yeah.
How did that happen? You're doing.
You know how it happened? I'll tell you one crazy story.
What was step one? Starting a corporate business.
Forget about. There's two different stories. One is how did we get to Profoto?
Okay.
Profoto came out with a brand new light. So now lights have batteries, right? Back then it didn't. You just plug the light in the wall, or you had these small, what they call
battery packs.
No, they had these small like flashes on top of the camera, but not very powerful. They came out with a new thing, revolutionary. Now it's modern day norm, that you could take a battery and put it onto a strobe. Didn't exist before.
Strobes are these?
These are constant lights, but essentially like the things I use for headshots.
Okay.
So they took 18 of the world's best photographers that were there, that they wanted to represent the brand, gave them this pack and said, go out in the world and create whatever you want. And we're going to make videos about it and put it out to the world. And it's going to be called Legends of Light. Make like a whole new thing.
These things will give you free equipment, or they also pay for it? How does that work?
It's a very good question. Yeah, very good question. So I don't know the world to it. I never got too deep into it. I sent them stam. I was making a video about, my wife and I did, not only do we do weddings, we started a new company, which I think would do well now, but didn't do well then, 8 years ago, which is called The Eternal Image, which is couple photography.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You did it with a couple on a boat.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the relationship doesn't end at the wedding; it starts at the wedding. You know what I mean? And it gets like now, we're
as
almost
the family grows.
1,000% not, but not the family, just the couple. The relationship of a couple 15 years later is a different world than it was in the beginning, right? Imagine that concept. You're older and right, but you've built into something that's like, I think today it would go wild.
Please do it. It's making me now.
Yeah. Can you imagine that idea? Anyway, point being, I was making a video about, like a sales video about this internal image thing. I said, you know what? I'm going to pitch to Profoto that I'm going to be the 19th person, me and my wife. And we're going to go on to 2 hot air balloons, and we're going to take one flash and put it into one hot air balloon. My wife's going to be shooting from another hot air balloon. It's going to be the skyscape, the landscape, couple in the middle of the sky, and to show that you could use these battery power things from 200 feet away.
Was it a competition people needed to apply?
No. They chose 18 people. I just said I want to be the 19th. I sent them a video, and I'm like waiting.
Of you, like
of me presenting this idea. Me and my wife sitting presenting this idea. I sent the email. I'm waiting. Finally get an email back.
How long? Do you remember? No.
Week and a half.
Okay.
But like waiting every day. Hey, Laibel, nice to meet you. every day we get pitched ideas. This is the first time we ever got pitched through a video. We like the concept. Go ahead. If we like it, we'll use it.
Did you do this photo in the hot air balloon?
So I set up a whole couple. Remember Newman? Elisa Newman, she ran our office for a little while.
Yes.
And they're one of our couples. They're like our best, like not best couple, but they were like our...
They're the ones that stay on the wall in your,
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
office.
Yeah, they did for many years. So then we said, we're going to hot air balloon. They're all set. We got it all set. Hot air balloon, everything's going to happen. We get a call that day, the night before. It's a Sunday. We got a call Motzei Shabbos. The bride had a double eye infection, meaning not happening. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I ended up calling my cousins. They said they would do it. Then it was too much wind to go in the hot air balloon. So they're like, forget it. Let's just go to Manhattan. So we go to Manhattan with this couple, my cousins, and we do this wild shoot. And we send it to them and said, this is beautiful. Welcome to being sponsored by ProPhoto as ProPhoto Legends of Light.
I love it. I love it. Now back to my other question. That was the ProPhoto story. What was step one? Starting a business that services the corporate world and not
B2C. So anyway, so I just again, it wasn't fun doing it, but so therefore, so that's how it started. So we got sponsored by ProPhoto. My wife met someone else who's sponsored by ProPhoto who does headshots named Peter Hurley, who's like the world's best headshot photographer.
I only know about him through you.
Yeah. So I said to her, he was selling a book. And if you get his book, he'll give you a free headshot. Now, really, his headshots go for $1,000, and the book is $40. So I said, get the book, and then go get the headshot and see what it's like. So she gets the book. I just wanted her to get a headshot to see like what it was like being photographed by that type of, to learn, right? She's a master. He's a master, right? And she comes back with the book. So I was like, oh, no, I'll read it.
And you've never done any corporate work yet?
Never did headshot. It's like, I'll read the book. I don't care. Like, I'll learn about facial expression, which is cool. And then I was like, this is interesting. So I tried it. I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. And that's how it started. I every single week went to Manhattan every Wednesday, paid for parking, toll, paid for the studio, and I gave free headshots to everyone and their mother for 2 years straight to practice my craft. Then
did Peter know about this?
Of course.
So he shot your wife?
No, I mean again,
the book.
Yeah, but again, there's a. You know how I have these big long lines? That was like what he has, a big long line. You buy the book and you go through the line.
How did you connect with him? This is a well-respected guy in the industry.
We're both sponsored by the same company.
That was the connection?
Yeah.
2 years. Free
headshots for everybody.
Plus pay for studio gas.
Everything.
Time.
I think it was a total about $50,000. And every Wednesday, and I paid for it through the funds that we had from weddings. Right? And I taught myself how to do it. And then there was a guy, Mr. Wall, that called. David Rosenberg actually called. Mr. Wall called about an idea for the LinkedIn Global. He said, can you give us headshots?
How did he know you were doing headshots?
David Rosenberg, for some reason, knew how. David Rosenberg lives in Lakewood. He has multiple companies. Put me in touch with Mr. Wall. I said, Mr. Wall, nice to meet you. We don't know each other well. I remember exactly where I was. I would rather, headshot at the time I think was $225. These headshots are $225. Now, granted, no one's ever paid anything for them. These headshots are $225, right? I would rather, and he said, listen, people give you $5-10 for them. So I said, I would rather gift a $225 gift to somebody than take $10 for them and they're going to think it's worth $10. So he said, so you're not charging me anything? I said, right. He said, okay. Deal. And that's how it started.
LinkedIn Global.
Yeah.
Now you have a rule. First 3
free.
Exactly.
So that was the idea.
LinkedIn Global was event number 1.
Well, first it was 2 years of free.
2 years of free.
Then it was LinkedIn Global we did for free. They did, if you don't know if you remember, they did one right afterwards in Brooklyn. It was Beryl Solomon and Bitbean and Susan Spanner. They did another one. Then I did another, and then I did a healthcare one. There was at Eagle Ridge, and then we started charging.
You were charging already, but you were giving it to people for free. Did those events bring like that first phone call?
No, you understand. Everyone at that time was so interested in getting LinkedIn content. It was a LinkedIn conference. So everyone needed LinkedIn content. So therefore, basically, they came in. We gifted them the best headshot they've ever had in their life and told them that whoever makes the mushiest post about their experience will get a free reel headshot, which is going to be half hour really developing it. So therefore, everyone put out a mushy post. They were waiting for posts. They had a great picture of themselves, and they had an incentive for a mushy post win. So everyone all of a sudden started posting all over the place. Label headshot, experience, mushy. And then the whole world's like, what the heck? I had so much. You know Eli Gavor, who shot your wedding?
Yeah.
Very close friend of mine. He told me, he said, Label, I blocked you on LinkedIn. I said, why do you mean you blocked me on LinkedIn? He says, every time I open LinkedIn, it's just all about you. He said, I blocked you. I said, okay, whatever. A year later, he calls me, says, Label, I need a favor. So what's up? He says, I need you to like one of my posts on LinkedIn. I want people to see it. I said, you blocked me. He said, listen, I'm going to unblock you for 10 minutes. You're going to like it, and then I'm going to block you again.
That is so funny.
And that's what happened.
What was that feeling of that first paid client, 225 with that headshot?
I don't really remember.
Do you remember who it was?
No. But I remember our first corporate client was LTC.
In Lakewood.
Yeah. It was right before Pesach. And they called and they said they needed headshots. Avadia Savetsky, unbelievable. So needed headshots for their need for their team.
How many headshots?
It was their whole corporate team. At
10
the time,
people, 50 people, 100?
No, 10. So I'm like so excited, nervous / whatever. And my wife's like, you can't do it. It's like, what do you mean I can't do it? She's like, you promised me you were going to clean the fridge for Pesach.
Okay.
I was like, Chana, I've been working on this for 2 years. I really need to do this. She said, no, you said you're going to clean the fridge. I said, do me a favor. You let me do this, I'll buy you a new fridge. That's what happened. Bought a new fridge. The next year was the exact same thing. Had a big photo project, a 4-part series with HCS. And
I remember that.
yeah, very special.
It was in the ads.
Yeah, very, very special. And my wife
in
was
the
like,
street. In
yes,
I remember.
wild. And I remember clearly saying, Chana, I need to do this shoot. She's like, and I was like, I'll get you the oven. She says, an oven with a matching microwave.
That is so funny.
I was like, okay, whatever, deal.
HCS called me and I'm like, yeah, I saw you guys did a project with Laibel. They're like, yeah. That is so, wow. LinkedIn Global brings back memories.
Wow. No?
You remember Joel Socks? Joel everything? #
First of all, Joel doing his thing.
Beryl, and there
Beryl
was a third
doing his
guy.
thing. Yeah, Avi.
Yeah, the sales manager at Fidelity Credit Card Paper.
Yeah, he went to, yeah.
Right. I forgot his name.
Avi.
What's his last name?
I know.
Yeah. So he lives in Lakewood.
Yeah, he has a beard now. Yeah, Avi. I know. Very, very. Avi, come on. Now we're going to embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
No, come on.
He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
I have a question. Did you ever envision, the company used to be called Laibel Schwartz Photography, now it's called Laibel, which I think is it's a good name. Just Laibel.
Yeah.
Laibel.
Anyone can relate.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully we can be able to get ourselves out of it a little bit. Once it's Laibel Schwartz Photography, everyone wants you. Label, they still whatever, but there's an element of it's its own entity. It could expand, right?
Did you ever envision it growing to the level it's out now? Or was it more opportunity by opportunity, slow growth? Oh, let's take on this challenge.
Yes. That one.
The second one.
Yeah.
You never thought.
No.
David probably had a vision for this.
Yeah.
And did you think he's crazy?
Yes.
All the time?
Yes.
Did you ever?
Still.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about video production?
So before we go there, I want to clarify something. If you were to tell me when we first met, forget about that, even later, that we would be doing the things that we're doing now on the level that we're doing them, I don't know if I would be able to even fathom, even begin to fathom. If you were to show me when we met, right? Or even in any part of my career, show me the current stuff we're doing with Kushner on the whole boardwalk there. Show me the stuff we're doing in the healthcare space. Show me the stuff we're doing in the real estate space. We're doing projects now with Wyndham Hotels. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. But the interesting part that I would say is that that's not the thing. It gets to be a certain point, and then what? So the point is that, did you take care of your family? Did you take care of your clients? Did you take care of your teammates? And for that, nothing really changed. So therefore, is it wild that we're doing these crazy things? Yeah. But it doesn't feel any different because we're doing the same exact thing that we always did, trying our very best to take care of our family, trying very hard to take care of our clients, and trying very hard to take care of our employees. Nothing changed. The scope of work is different, but in the end of the day, it's just going back to the bank. And is there enough to take care of family? Is there enough to take care of my clients? And there's enough to take care of my employees? And nothing really changed in that aspect. It never went too crazy high, never went too crazy low.
Do you ever get a potential job that can affect taking care of family? Like, I know there are a lot of people that like to be home. They leave the office at 5:30. That's it. Like, very little business trips, very little conferences. So was there ever like a point where you got a lead or potential client that might interfere with that?
Yes.
And?
It happened naturally. So I used to have a rule that we didn't travel. Now I'm home. Now, we had a rule that the only reason I would travel is because the only reason I would travel is it was really, really financially worth it.
Sense.
Yeah. The challenge is now we're traveling all the time, but they're numbers that always just make sense. So it became like, I got to a point where we were traveling once a year, but it was really worth it. But then
it's really worth it very often.
Once every twice a year. And all of a sudden it's once every quarter. And then all of a sudden there's times there was a point last summer I was in Florida every other week. But we'd go down, do 3 different facilities. How are you going to pass that up?
How do you manage family obligations?
So that's what I was telling you is my wife and I are still a team. Right? She totally runs what she's got to run. And I totally run what I got to run. But it did get to a point where it went too far. Meaning, but I don't really have an option. So I'm stuck in a little bit of I built an infrastructure.
Advice you can give someone?
I don't know. I need it. Can't give it. Yeah. I need it.
I once called you and you had your son on that trip.
Yeah. So I take my kids sometimes.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Sometimes I bring my kids because not only that's healthy because traveling alone is not healthy, but when you're supposed to be a parent. I mean, this is for me, I'm supposed to be a parent. So if I can bring one of my kids and I can be that parent along with them.
You can't bring them at like 8 years old. They need to be old enough.
Yeah.
Was it a conference or?
No. Okay. Again, I wouldn't take them to a place where I don't think is the right thing for them.
Right.
Let's say, for example, if I'm going down to do a nursing home, there's nothing better than seeing angels taking care of yesterday's heroes. You know what I mean? Like that's the best.
Yesterday's heroes.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, that's the point is that I think everyone looks at other people like, oh man, they're rocking, they're rolling in it, all this type of thing. If you were to look at what we do, any person in my industry would do anything to do the things that we're doing. And I sometimes just want to tell them like, I'm struggling just as well as everyone else. Trying our very best and blessed by the same Ribono Shel Olam as they are. And, that would be the advice. Just do the best you possibly can. Make sure that everything's taken care of. Your family's taken care of. Your clients are taken care of. Your employees are taken care of.
That order?
No, not at all. Family, employees, clients.
Every day, you excel at what you do. If people could see how you work, they'd instantly fall for your brand. But how do we make that happen? At Everyone Needs a Video, we capture the essence of your daily magic in video and turn it into a 24/7 showcase that lets you share your passion with the world. From ABA therapy, construction, web design, home care, nonprofits, and more, we ensure your value shines through. Visit everyoneneedsavideo.com today and let's make your business stand out.
Welcome back. We just went very deep on one question. I want to
sure.
Go back a little bit. Is there a industry that excites you the most? And if yes, what is it about that industry?
So it's interesting. I love anything that kind of tells that human story and you kind of feel that. The reason why I'm so passionate about being in the healthcare space is because that's where I come from. My mother was a nurse. She was a nurse since the Vietnam War. Well, I mean, she still has her license, but she's whatever. She stopped working a bunch of years ago. But she's the type of nurse that, like, you go to the grocery store and she tells a random person, you have edema in your ankles, right? You should get that checked out. Or like your color looks off. I've had people, crazy stories. I've had people tell me, we've been at a Hanukkah party where she's told a random person, by the way, we haven't met, but your color's a little off. We got a call 3 weeks later that said, thank you. They just found out we're in early stages. These are the type of stuff that like these nurses, they made out of different stuff. So that's what I was raised with. That's why, right? So therefore, to be able to tell those stories and to do all the things I like to do, to help my owners make a lot of money, help tell that nurse story about how they're heroes, because it's such a weird way that they're perceived, and be able to do it in my style that the world has never seen before. It's a no-brainer. I'm crazy about it.
You're in the creative space. Your business is a creative type of business. And sometimes it's very hard to scale a creative type of business.
Yes.
Copywriters many times work on their own. Video editors, they're solopreneurs. What would you say are some systems or strategies that you've built to help you scale this creative business of Laibel?
It's a very good question. So first of all, you have to figure out if that's what you want to do.
If you want to build...
Yeah. Do you want to do that? Meaning to say, let's say, for example, for my whole career, I've known many guys, let's say video editors or video shooters, for example, that have made more than we have.
Okay.
Because they have no expenses, right? They just shoot. They make a great they make a great day rate. They're making $1,000 a day, $1,500 a day. They're shooting 4 times a week or whatever's going on.
Less overhead, more profit.
Yeah. It goes straight to pocket, right? So there's been many times that solopreneurs will bring home a lot, significantly more money than we do, significantly. So there is an element of saying like, hey, maybe that is a good idea. The downside of that is that you're stuck doing it for the rest of your life, right? There's no scale. There's no process. There's no, right? It's just you and your magic. And guess what happens? If someone's foot breaks, God forbid, over. If someone's hand, like whatever's going on, if they are not shooting, you're only as good as your last pizza. My grandmother would say, you're only as good as your last, thing. So therefore, that's the other side. So what we decided to do is, I have that issue, right? We, I believe, are blessed to really be good at what we do. I used to say we're the best in the world at what we do, and I believe it. But I'm trying to do the humble thing and realize that Rebbeinu Shalom really runs the world. He gave me a talent, but that's pretty much it. You can't really be proud of it. So we are wonderful at what we do, and people want that. So therefore, there's the Laibel product. But the product is incredible as well. It's not just the fact that it's me. The product is really cool. And so how do you get that? How do you get the product without the label? So what we did was we reverse engineered. We went and we actually filmed me for 2 years interviewing the same 3 for free when we started at ENAV, everyoneneedsavideo.com. So what I did was I recorded.
Hold on, pause.
Yeah.
Plug that. You started another company called
Yeah, so we're about to do it.
Give it a plug.
I was
Proper plug.
This is plugging.
What's the pitch?
The pitch is you're about to hear it. Right? This is a social media guerrilla warfare plug. So it's not like that type of plug, it's a guerrilla warfare plug. So basically what's going on is we decided
Scheming.
Yeah. We took whatever it is that I do and we recorded it. So just like if I'm sitting here, right? Someone's right, lights here. We had 2 cameras on them, 1 camera on me. And I've reverse engineered everything that I do. When I ask a question, you lean slightly in forward, right? You squint your eyes a touch when you want something to go. You can't talk to encourage someone when they're doing well. So how do you encourage someone to keep talking without saying anything, right? So he noticed I would do something like, whatever. And he would say, lean quite forward. And then if something's exciting, then, do this motion or whatever's going on and he actually made a handbook of how to label, right? Same thing with our shooters. We
need to copyright that.
Yeah, sure. And then we took our shooters, the same thing. This is how they shoot. And I had them talk through why they were doing the shootings they were doing. I'm going in here because there's something on the left I want to get out of it. I'm pushing over here because I'm doing this. I'm bringing the client over here because you can see over here.
The editor would hear all this?
And therefore, Avram made a shooting guide, how to shoot Laibel. And then how to edit, he did the same thing. I'm choosing this music and not this music because of this. I'm choosing this word and not this word because of this. And basically made a handbook of how to create a Laibel product. And that was built, it's a company called ENAV, which is exactly what Laibel does, but not with Laibel. So therefore, generally, a Laibel project starts at $25,000. Here, an ENAF project is $7,500. It's done beautifully. It's trained by Laibel. It's run by somebody else. It's a partnership between me and David. And thank God, we're a year in. It's going really well.
Wow. I got a question.
So the question is, how do you scale it? One of the ways is just reverse engineering. Put a camera on yourself and you can reverse engineer. You may be the best sales guy in the world. You do stuff that you don't even know. Film it and have someone else analyze it. You may be the best editor in the world. Film it, record it, have someone else analyze it. You may be the best recruiter in the world. You know, you do weird stuff that no one knows what it is, but there's something about it that does well. Record it, analyze it, and then you can teach it to your team. Now, there's certain things that are only Tully, right? You're not going to say drive up with a motorcycle so client thinks that you're cool. You know what I mean? You don't do that. But there is an element of make sure to be your unique self, right? That's how it translates.
How do you tell the difference between a good video and a great video?
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
Who would know? Avram?
Yes.
We'll get him on the podcast.
That would be cool.
We're going to do one in Israel.
That
I'm
would
going to be
great.
there for a month.
So do it.
Okay.
Or just don't work when you're there.
Or don't work on them a month.
I
Of
don't know.
course I'm going to work.
Oh, listen,
I'm not going there for vacation.
Let me ask you a question. What's it like to have other people make sales and then that be part of your success?
Define that.
Meaning to say, generally, I make a sale, I make money. Yeah. It's like a weird thing now. I just saw ENAF made a sale. Like, again, that hasn't translated to cash to me yet. But like, you have members on the team that when they are successful, that actually translates. If they're making money, that actually, like, I don't know if I've ever had that experience.
It's a very weird feeling. I'm not used to it yet. Because it's a mix. They do sometimes bring in their people from their own network as clients, but a big chunk of the time I'm giving them leads.
That's different.
So I know, and it doesn't happen often enough where it became common, but I've spoken to other recruiting agencies, and I'm hearing that at Blackbird, we do so many internal splits, like real estate, buyer's broker, seller's broker. Here, you'll have a recruiter that has a job opening. Another recruiter on the team has a candidate, and they work together to make the placement. That happens a lot by Blackbird. And I've spoken to other recruiting agencies, and many times they say, no, they're independent brokers. They have the job opening, or the corporate company has the job. The recruiters need to go find the candidates.
That's so hush.
We work a lot internally, and I give them a lot of leads. I want them to be successful. Oh, okay. You bring up an emotional situation here. Way back when I started, there was a recruiter that made a decent sized commission. Her commission was like $7,500. Back then, it was her highest commission ever. I think it was there before Pesach. I'm like, not the day before, it was like a week before. And some days they work remote. It's that type of flexible environment, you know. And I'm like, hey, are you coming by chance to the office? No. I wanted to write out a check for $7,500 and give it to her. And as I was writing out the check, I felt so happy. It brought such a joy. And I'm like, that feeling. I don't know, it was in the old office. Oh. And sometimes like recruiters are like, oh yeah, you just, not recruiters, but I've had people like, oh, you just want them to close so you can make money selfishly. I'm like, no. Like Hashem looks out for me. It brings me such joy when people on the team make money and they can support their families and
Nothing in the world like it.
Laibel.
Yeah.
But you asked me about how does it feel, other people making sales.
Whatever, you gave me the answer. It's cool.
I'm still getting used to it. It's weird.
So
Because we're talking about like detaching yourself from the business, like not autopilot, but
right.
Not always being the person doing everything.
Right.
A good video from a bad video, but what can make a video stand out in a video? Video production is a pretty saturated market. What would make a good video stand out today?
I don't know. No, I mean it. I'm saying I'm not involved in the world at all.
Post editing or
no,
filming?
No. I'm not involved in video editing. We help business solve problems. I'm not sure. I have my way of doing things. Same thing when I shot weddings. I have no idea what people are doing.
Really?
No clue. Guess what? I couldn't care less. I could not care less. I have a process that works perfectly for my clients. I have no idea. I like genuine, but you don't have to have genuine. Coca-Cola comes out with, I don't know, a big fat guy with a beard, and a red hat, and then that does great for marketing. I don't know. I'm not into that stuff.
Right.
I do my thing really well, which is the human connection and getting that to sell. But like That doesn't mean that my videos are better. They are, but it's only because they're better because of the work that I do.
Right.
I'm the best. I told someone this, and I think it's one of the coolest things ever. The reason why we're so good at what we do is because we made the rules to the game.
It's good.
Meaning, I can't play anyone else's game.
Right.
I would lose. So I just
Play your own game.
made it my own game, and then we win. You know why?
Because you made the
Because
rules.
we win.
It's
That's right.
good.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's exactly what's going on. The video, I could care less about video. Could not care less about video. Couldn't care less. But we're the best in the world. I mean, when I say best in the world, I mean to say we do what we do best. Period.
Laibel, I've seen you in action.
Yeah.
I've experienced you in action. I've been in front of
In many ways.
many ways.
Headshots, wedding,
Yeah.
video.
I've been in front of the camera lens.
Yeah.
You have an incredible strength of getting people to open up. People are so nervous naturally. They're very uncomfortable in front of a camera.
Yes.
You have that incredible strength of getting people relaxed and getting them to open up.
Yeah.
There are people who can be really good at video because they really know their way around the gimbal.
Right.
My question to you is, if someone wants to get into the creative space, what is an underrated skill that they should develop?
It's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help what I'm going to tell you because no one's going to listen to me.
Okay.
Just get really in touch with what you do. You have to be perfect
It takes
technically.
time.
No,
though.
it doesn't.
Can someone figure that out at 20 years old?
I think the way that I thought about this before, I think the answer is what you do is you talk to your friends about the reasons that they like you. Talk to people that, right? What are the things, what am I good at, right? Let's go back and forth, right? What is it that I'm really good at? They will tell you, and they'll be a critic, and they'll tell you good and bad. And those are the things that you start to understand what they are, and then you start getting closer to those things. So therefore, you may want to be funny. You're not funny. Not you, you're funny. But I'm saying some guys want to be funny and they're not funny. And they spend their whole life trying to be funny. Rabbi Gluck talks about this all the time. You're not funny.
Rabbi Gluck is Rabbi Shmuel Gluck from Raven, a very dear mentor of Laibel and mine.
Yeah.
You've known him for a lot longer than me, but that's who he's referring to.
Yeah. So anyway, Rabbi Gluck talks about it all the time. He says, like, you got to lean into what you're good at. So like, if you're like the geeky guy, like he has people all the time that like want to volunteer for Raven. So, which works with teens or whatever. Teens at risk. So therefore he says, the guy's like, okay, I want to, he's an accountant, big accounting firm. I want to volunteer. Looks like that's great. We need an accountant. No, I don't want an accountant. I want to talk to the boys. Talk to the boys. You couldn't talk to a rock. Meaning you're terrible at talking to people. You're an accountant. You're not good at this. Why can't you, if you want to help, why wouldn't you help us with accounting? No, I want to talk to the boys. Like what? Like, you know what I mean? Work with what you're good at. So therefore, the same thing here is that like you're creative. Lean into, people ask me all the time, like, how do you like, sometimes I'll hear someone doing a headshot somewhere at like an event and they'll be like, like, is that okay? Was everything okay? Did someone get hurt? You know what I mean? Like they're just trying to follow along what they see. That's
people doing.
It's not cool to go in the headshot. It just happens to be what comes natural to me. So therefore, it's like that's what we do. But it's not like that's not the right way to do it. The way that my wife shoots, and she's worlds better than me, is silent. Sometimes I have to tell my wife, like, you have to tell them it's good or else they're not going to know, right? Like in her mind, like, of course it's stunning, right? So like whatever it is that you're good at, lean into that. There's some recruiters that are really good because of this thing. There's some recruiters, right? On your team. How many different people? And that's the idea. Whatever you can lean into, if you're really good technically, do technical work. If you're really good people-wise, do people work. Lean into what you're strong.
Talk to your friends. I figured that out.
Yeah, you ask them, what am I best at?
Tilly Krause at 20 years old didn't have any friends. Remember
That's
me?
not true.
I was annoying like nobody's business.
I said that you didn't have any friends. I just said that part's not true. No, but let me ask you a question. Yeah, you used to drive people to the airport, yeah?
No.
Yes, you did.
No.
Yeah.
Once, maybe.
No, I think you used to drive people to the airport.
No.
Yeah, you did. So anyway, you did.
Yeah, you know what? I got into recruiting. My memory's gone.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
So anyway, my point being, what happened with you? David got to know you, yeah?
Yeah.
And you're doing sales for
Air
scents.
fresheners.
Every time I go to a thing, I smell something. Oh, Tully. It's still in my brain, yeah? So, and David says to you, you should.
Get into recruiting.
Why?
No.
Why? You said you're great at networking, you're great with people, and people like you.
Before that.
Yeah.
David always asked me, Tilly, what's going to be with you? Like, what do you want to do long term? And I'm like, the typical answer that like a 23-year-old gives. I don't know. I just want to make money. I used to struggle. Loved going to networking events.
Right.
Peak energy. Come back to the office the next day. I have a stack of business cards. I'm just out of it. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Right.
I didn't focus. David always asked me, what's going to be? And for 6 months. And I hated these conversations.
Right.
Hated them. And I'm like, David, I just want to make money. He's like, no. I'm like, David, leave me alone. I hate it like for 6 months.
Right. You
So
ask
like,
your friends. That's exactly right.
And he's like,
And he knew it.
If you ever want to get into recruiting, let's figure something out.
Yeah.
And I didn't take him seriously. And then I took another job.
Yeah, I remember.
Got laid off, fired after 5 months. That day, I called him, David, I'm fired. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
He's like, I would have loved if your back is not against the wall.
Right. Yeah.
But let's figure this out. And I did I closed 3 deals in 6 weeks.
4 years
With
ago.
a pen and paper.
Yeah.
No office, no computer.
Why? Because you asked a friend, what am I good at? Go ask a friend. Ask a friend. Yeah.
That's very good advice. Thank you.
I should do it too.
Don't ask me. I have a question. Running a business has its challenges. There's a lot of hard things about.
It's all challenges,
It's all challenges.
basically.
What would you say is the hardest challenge you've faced? No, scratch that. What's one of the toughest decisions you've needed to make running your business? Or what's the biggest challenge you face and how do you deal with it? You could pick or answer both.
I have a challenge of, I think something I'm still coming to terms with is I'm not a seasoned business person. I play it well on TV, meaning to say like I believe strongly that I think that I understand business more than majority of photographers or artists, but that puts you at the top of the creatives. But true business people start way beyond that to start. Doesn't make any sense? And I think that what I need to learn, I'm still learning, is that I need to lean, just as I was saying that, everyone else should lean into their strengths. I need to lean even stronger into what exactly we do and bring other people on the team that can actually do the business things, because we're doing things that I could have never dreamed of. But my systems and processes are not ready. We're doing Wyndham Hotels, right? I need certain systems and processes to be able to take on all that they can give us. I have, there's so much more to do, and I'm holding myself back. I know it. I'm holding myself back, and that's what we need to do. I need to, in fact, you're a recruiter. I'm looking openly for someone that could run the business, meaning the operations side of what I do.
I hope you're enjoying today's podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Blackbird Recruiting. ChatGPT, what do you think about Blackbird Recruiting?
Blackbird Recruiting, the team that finds you the right people so you can stop wasting time on resumes that look like they were written by someone's dog. If you're a business owner struggling to find top talent, let Blackbird do the heavy lifting. They'll help you find candidates who actually get it. Visit blackbirdrecruiting.com and let them take your hiring game to new heights.
You heard it here first. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Welcome back. You spoke earlier, like you potentially you'd be looking for like a leader to manage the logistics side of the business.
Yeah.
You're creative. That's in your blood.
Right.
How do you handle, like till now, how have you always handled the creative side versus the logistics and operations side of the business?
I have a big problem. I have a big challenge with it. Meaning,
what do you want to do more and what do you end up doing more?
what I would like to be doing more is exactly what I do well, which is connecting to human beings and filming them and creating solutions for their problems. I would like to be doing that all the time and making people happy.
You're a natural at that.
No, I know that. But like, let's say if we had an open day, I would love to be in Manhattan gifting people headshots or doing something like the Kiddush Hashem thing. Like that to me, I think is that really fires me up. Helping companies be successful and doing the Kiddush Hashem out in the world.
Asking like Parsha trivia questions?
No.
Like Kiddush Hashem?
No,
I thought you were referring to Thank You Hashem.
No, Thank You Hashem. No, Thank You Hashem is very special. I mean, we did the Emunah Works series, which I think is very special.
Right.
But no, I mean, let's say there's been times we've gone on to the streets of Manhattan with E-Flat World and gifted people headshots and all.
Remember that cafe by the corner?
Yeah. This type of thing.
I'm stalking you.
So this is like the coolest thing ever. I wish I could be doing more things where people could look and say, hey, the Jewish people are really special people. But I am looking for that. I'm looking for something. I'm at the place in my business where I would actually take on a piece of a partner, meaning there's conversation that could be, because there's so much more that we can do.
If you want to do a plug, people can email you if you want to.
Can't it go through Blackbird?
It can. Hit me up if you're watching. I have another question.
And we've grown it to a place that is quite sizable, but it could be.
What are you looking for?
Looking for,
or do you know what you're looking for?
I don't know what I'm looking for. That's my challenge. I know that.
What's the problem?
The problem is that.
This is me putting on my recruiting cap.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is that we have a perfect system and process that works over and over once the client is there. But one, we do not have any infrastructure for outbound sales or kind of marketing in that type of world. And as we're hitting our larger corporations, we need to have the back-end structure to be able to help them. So therefore, I need someone that has run maybe a creative agency before or something like this, that understands that market and kind of understands where we could grow.
I'm gonna make a note.
And
I have someone for you.
Really?
Yes. This person works now at a creative agency.
So I don't want to take anyone from.
No, they're looking to leave. Shifts happening, changes. A lot of people dream of opening a creative business. Subcategory, many people have dreamed of opening a business to the level of Laibel. What is one thing you think you did way back when that set you apart? Because like we said before, many creators are solopreneurs. Is there something you did way back when that you could share with our viewers that set you apart as a creative to be able to build Laibel where it is at?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
David Wanunu.
Get yourself a David Wanunu in stores on shelves at $19.99. No, but seriously.
That's the only thing.
Get a good mentor.
Yeah.
How would you describe David? For someone looking for a mentor.
David?
Listen up.
It's funny. I'll tell you how one of his other clients / whatever, who's been using for years, she said, it's like having an uncle that loves you.
Don't get a mentor who's charging you money. You need to get a mentor who genuinely wants to see you successful and gets so happy when you are successful. That's what a mentor is.
Yeah. So the answer is, let's say, for example, even our guys, So we take guys from starting the beginning, don't know anything about photo or video, but then they come into our world.
Your
right?
employees?
Yeah. Let's say our assistants. Each one of our assistants, after a year, could run unbelievable companies. Yeah. Some of them are now. But when they run it, I was just explaining to a new guy that just came. I was like, you don't know anything about photography. You're very interested in photography. I'm going to teach you photography on the highest level, and you don't have to know any of the other stuff. Meaning to say, what you're learning from the get-go is an already fully processed piece. So you don't have to worry about you can just learn in 1 year. I have guys that are my guys out there that are doing extremely well creatively and financially because they just learned that perfect process. Does that make any sense? So if you can find someone that can mentor you through the process, you never realized you could charge X for this. But when you hear it all day long, then it just becomes normal, right? It's just a normal thing to say a video starts at $25,000. You know how hard it is to say that for the first time? You try it. You start, it's like, video's $1,000. Like, I can't say it. You practice, video's $1,000. You talk to the client, like, video's video's $1,000.
Say that again? No, it's $250.
Yeah, right. So, but then you get to, they just, at this point in our career, our project started at $25,000. It's hysterical. I hear them talking, our project started at $25,000. How could you say that? You just becomes the norm, right? And the same way in their shooting abilities, and the same way that they talk to their clients, I hear my guys say, "Oh yeah, we solve problems for business.
You help companies make money."
Yeah, it's like the funniest thing to hear. The answer is, when you learn if you can mentor with someone who has built it before, you can get way further than trying each step on your own.
Wow. We're getting closer to the end of the podcast. I wanted to ask you, what would be something you would tell your younger self? While you're thinking, I'll ask you another question. Okay.
It's going to be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Meaning, one of the reasons why you know the Rebbeinu Shalom takes care of you is because till now he's always taken care of you, right? But the more that you've lived, the more times he's taken care of you. So you kind of believe it a little bit more. But even like now, I'm like, oh, what am I going to do on a lot of things? Wait a second. It's always been all right. You know what I mean? So every step of the way, it's always been all right. It's going to be okay now too. So what if I would tell him then? He was probably stressing out about something. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. Right? What would I tell myself right now? If you were older and you would be looking back at today, you would tell yourself, don't worry, it's going to be fine.
That's very powerful.
Think so.
How do you go off these deep, like, responses?
We don't. Again, it's just, again, it's weird because generally.
The second time during this conversation, we went like, you closed your eyes, got in your zone.
This is fun. I'm nervous to go on other. This is what I do, and it was like you've done a very, very good job of.
I still have one more question.
Okay.
Can I ask it?
Yeah. Can I tell you a trick that nobody knows?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to know how to get the good stuff?
Yeah.
So this is the way to get the good stuff. Everyone on my team knows this. Want to hear something really cool? Did you ever interview people? When you start interviewing people, if that's what you want to do, this is the coolest trick ever. And my team knows it. I said it in every single interview. If I'm going to interview you, don't say like, I know it's coming, right? When I get to where I want to like get to the good, like what really
juicy bits.
Stuff. So I'll tell them is like, listen, that was a perfect interview. You rocked it. Thank you. I said, I have a few more questions. Just, I'd love just to, pass by you. And then everyone's like, and you'll see them. They go from like, to being like, okay,
uptight to like relax.
Okay, like, right. And it was a great interview till then. They know it was good. And then they're like, relax. And then you ask them then you ask them the bomb questions and they feel like, oh, we're over now. So like now it's whatever. And that's sometimes Avram will pull stuff like from stuff. It's like the wildest thing would happen.
Yeah, the editor could just go straight to the end.
Of course. No, not only that, but there's no hemshich, meaning,
right.
Yeah, 1,000%.
What's next for Laibel? That'll be my final question. And then I want you to give yourself a juicy plug. Where can people find you? But what's next for Laibel? Next
is Tully is going to find us that person who's going to run the company.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do what I do best, and we're going to scale that thing, and I'm going to continue doing what I do best, and there's going to be a functioning back end that is running successfully. And then we're going to have a podcast again in a year talking about how the Blackbird was that solution.
We should rewatch this. And Yossi, put this on your calendar. In 11 and a half months, Tully Kraus, remind me, need to reach out to Laibel. We're going to do another podcast, review the last 12 months, watch this podcast, and do another one.
That's wild. It's going to happen sooner than you think.
Let me explain.
It's going to happen sooner than you think.
You've done so much in my life you don't even realize. There was a time I was struggling in my business, and I called David Wanunu, my partner, and I told him, we just closed another deal. And I like these deals. I was closing deals, but I didn't feel that adrenaline rush. Because in recruiting, it could take 30 days to get paid. And early on, I was charging less and waiting longer to get paid. I'm just waiting on the next one. And David's like, Tully, do you realize what the heck you just did? You have zero experience in recruiting.
Right.
And you just closed like a $150,000 deal. And the commission on that's like, at the time I was charging 10%, $15,000.
It's wild.
Now we're at 20%. And back then, and I'm like, yeah, great, okay, but I'm moving on to the next one.
No.
And David wanted me to like totally shut up.
I still have it on video.
And it was on a Friday.
Yeah, sure.
I called him to tell him we'd close the deal, but I wasn't sounding very enthusiastic. I was talking to him. Fridays is when Laibel and David have their meetings. And Laibel warned me, if you call David again, Friday morning, I'm going to bite your toes off. That's what Laibel said. But I needed to call David and tell him we close the deal. And I'm talking to David, and David's like giving me chizuk, like, Tully, do you realize what you just... I'm like, yeah, whatever, okay, fine, I'm moving on to the next one. Laibel filmed it.
I remember
he sent it to me 6 months later or a year later. I didn't even know. And at that time, I was struggling with something internally. It gave me such chizuk. You really know how to tug at someone's heartstrings. Laibel, I'm so glad you came on today's episode.
It's so fun.
It really was. For everyone watching, I hope you enjoyed. Today was one where we went up and down into the deep end again. It was a lot of fun. Stay tuned for the next episode. It's going to be a good one. And subscribe wherever you're watching this to stay notified of future episodes. Enjoy.